back to basics. The claws. At least basics for me, since the Dark Souls claw run was my first video that currently sits at, wow, over 5,800 views? Goodness. I honestly can't believe what I'm seeing. Actually, let me take a second to thank everyone who's watched that video and is watching this video, and those of you who've subscribed. If you haven't, no biggie. I'll keep working to earn that sub. But otherwise, I can't really express how amazing it is to see these responses to my videos. These are pretty obviously a hobby and a passion project for me, and I'm honestly struggling to believe that so many people are sticking around to check out my silly little runs. Anyway, on to the topic of today. Gonna run that intro. Howdy, I'm Prakuza and welcome to DevBox, where we take games and tinker around their insides to see what makes them tick. Today we'll be trying out a challenge run to push our current target to the limits of what is possible within the game systems. In this case, we're going to be taking a look at Elden Ring and asking the simple question, can you beat the entire game with only claws? Note that this time I didn't say the claw, but claws. Because this time around, this is a weapon type with a whole 4 options to choose from. Well, to get started, we begin again as a wretch. The only title befitting a face as lovable as Dude McStreamson here. Also because it gives the most freedom to work my build around whatever weapon I'm looking to run with. So we'll take our club we can't use and go out to pick up our starting gear. That includes a crafting kit from Kale that I won't make any use of, Torrent from Melina, who I'll make constant use of, and our first set of claws, which, yeah, are kind of the whole point. As for which claws we're using specifically, there are technically 2 that we can rush right away, but the closest set can be found a hop, skip, and a jump over to Kale, specifically in the Abandoned Cave. A common early visit for players looking to farm runes if they can first get through 2 clean rot nights. Of course, in our case, we aren't here for that. All we want is this item, off in the corner, right before the boss fight. Say hello to Venomous Fangs, the easiest set of claws I can get my hands on. It only takes a quick jump up these virgin abductors and a completely intended death abuse to get back out to the front of the tunnel. Totally meant to do that. Because of speed. It was faster. Now this playthrough will only be 12 hours, 42 minutes, and 34 seconds, instead of an ungodly 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 34 seconds. Whew! Worf indeed. Well, now that we have a proper weapon, instead of doing any of the other setup I should be doing, let's go fight some bosses, like, immediately. First, we gotta get the Grace in front of Market and flaunt some of this raw gaming skill. Sure, I'll take that spear to the chest and make a useless dodge, but here we go. Let's see how you like that backstab. Yeah? Any of y'all want to go next? Huh? No? That's what I thought. Bitches. Alright, time to big dick it up. Market, get in here. You're taking it raw. Okay. Guess I'm the one who should have lubed up. But you know what? That was only a sanity check. And look at how close I got on my first attempt. I got this next time for sure. Third time's the charm? Yeah! First try, minus those 2 practice deaths. And the several others that I didn't bother to capture. Still, with Market good and behind us, we can head up and get our real weapon for the run. The hook claws. Yeah, these look familiar. And, maybe now we can even pick up some smithing stones to actually upgrade these claws. Right. That's probably why Margit took so long to kill. Those Venomous Fangs were +0. Not normal for me. Anyway, now that I've got a bleed weapon, let's go get some free runes and level up a bit. That means leaving Stormvale for a moment and heading over to kill Grail. She's, whatever, slice her foot for a bit and she eventually goes down. Same old. Anyway, now that we've got plenty of runes and enough vigor to take a hit from even the biggest boys down the line, let's head back on the any percent. Honestly, I kinda wish Elden Ring was a tiny bit smaller for these runs sometimes. I'd rather do all bosses, but for this video format, it would just drag on forever. Seriously, I don't even know how to add in the random bosses I did kill, like this Erd Tree Avatar that drops the Opaline Bubble Tier. Where do I put that? in the middle of this stupid rant? Fuck that. So, Godric. He's, surprisingly easy, actually. Like, it's Godric. Not exactly expecting millennia levels of difficulty, especially when I've got endgame levels of vigor, but still, these claws are no joke. Honestly, after the first 2 main fights, I would absolutely recommend this run already. Let's see how this holds up for the rest of the video, though. Moving on from Godric, let's keep working on this outfit of mine. Turtle Bandit look is fine for now, but we can better attune ourselves to the animalistic nature within us. For that, however, we're going to need to head up to Caria Manor and take on Loretta, who I'm assuming, from how I edit, you've already been watching me fight for the last few seconds. It isn't exactly what I'd call a difficult fight now that I know how to fight her. Not gonna lie, it felt nice to stomp her this hard actually. In my first playthrough of this game, Loretta kicked my ass for a hearty few hours. That being said, she's down, and we have access to the reason we came this way. A feral head to match our feral weapons. With that out of the way, we're back in collectathon mode. First with some runes from the Putrid Avatar. There's not much to say. The lingering hitbox on the big booty demons from DS1 is gone, so dodge in and keep slashing away. It doesn't last long, especially now that we've upgraded our claws with a brand new Ash of War, Hoarfrost Stomp. Not to actually use the stomp, since that would go against the rules of claws only. Instead, it means we can turn these into Frosty Hook Claws. Oh, and you're seeing that right. It doesn't replace the bleed with frost, it stacks the 2 on top of each other. Now, this does mean that bleed is going to proc less often, but the initial damage from frostbite and the defense decrease more than makes up for hemorrhage taking a couple extra claw swipes. Alrighty, now that we're nice and beefed up with a good amount of levels and some upgraded icy claws, we can also head up to Altus Plateau. Why? Well, because we want to activate the Radahn fight, but also so that we can collect our last 2 sets of claws. These are the Bloodhound Claws from the Bloodhound Knight in Volcano Manor, as well as the Raptor Claws from the Sage Cave. Okay, they're in our inventory, but we'll figure something out to do with them later. For now, our attention is probably best off to Radahn. I know, we've barely arrived at Altus, but if we want to make progress, we need to kill another Shard Bearer before we can proceed. Since Radahn is the quickest, he's our target. As has seemed to have been the case up until now, the claws are doing work. None of those wonky startups that came from Bloodborne's claw run, and the power stance with the claws makes for an awesome moveset. Also, watching back my footage, I'm noticing something that I seem to be incapable of doing with Radahn. It's the summon. Not gonna lie, it feels like cheating, for a challenge run at least. I think I'm too used to running around and picking up these dudes to help with the fight. So for anyone else thinking that it's weird for a claw-only challenge to call Alexander, Blythe, and Okina to not use claws and beat the hell out of this big guy, yeah, I should not be doing that. Definitely been brain farting and falling on my muscle memory for those summons. However, as we'll see later, Radahn isn't even necessary to the any percent, and I'll be ticking another option for entering Lindell eventually anyway. So go ahead and look away. Look away as this man gets put firmly in the ground. Okay, with Radahn down, it's time to head into Lindell. Technically a little early, but we're ignoring that. For now, that means we need to kill the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Done. Easy. Try harder, Elden Ring. You know, I had this whole thing set up for the Sentinel to go down with little effort, but then it takes like hours of attempts to beat Morgott, but nope. It would appear that the last few runs have made this fight a bit easier. There's some notes here, but it's nothing new. In this case, my status buildups meant that I was going for a combination of charge R2s to Sagarum and regular swipes to proc the Frost and Bleed. That being said, I didn't actually manage a good stagger throughout the whole fight. I need to work on that in a bit. Which brings us back to Collectathon Time 2.0. Or is this 3.0? Or is this more like 2.5? I don't know. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts title writer, only an enjoyer. And I sure did enjoy finding this friendly little teardrop scarab who drops Cragblade. Now, I know this will be giving up on my frost damage, but the temporary bonuses to damage and stagger potential is well worth it. In fact, let's test it out against Red Wolf of Radagon. Some rocky scratches behind the ear, and he immediately rolls over on his back and waits for belly rubs. Sorry to any dog lovers out there though, because we'll have to leave him to beg while we grab our next target. The Glintstone Whetblade. Woo! Why am I excited? Well, because now I can equip Cragblade and get my Frosty Claws back. Super damage bonuses! Woohoo! Now that we've got magic and frost-infused claws, let's try it out against Renala, a boss who has extremely high magic defense and is weaker to bleed than frost. Why did I make these claws cold already? Well, she dies anyway, no problems. At all. Granted, my troubles here are definitely from my own greed. Kept feeling like she would die or stagger soon, and I almost threw right at the end there. Well, now that we've got more weapons and we're heading into Elden Ring's endgame of fluctuating quality, let's go for some side quests. Mostly because I want an excuse to use the other claws for a bit. For the Bloodhound claws, I'll take Darrowill's position in service of Ranni and go finish up the remainder of her quest. With Radon already dead, that means our next main objectives are to kill the Silver Tier Troll and pick up the Finger Killer Blade. A long walk away from there, we find the Blithe Shadow enemy on the way to killing Estelle for some fucking reason. Then Agila for some fucking reason. And also Real Blythe for some fucking reason. Hey, at least I get to complete my outfit now. Not gonna lie, I don't really understand why some of these enemies show up to stand in Ranni's way. But now they aren't, and Dude McStreamson prepares to make an honest woman out of this doll. Alright, new ending unlocked. Let's go find something to use the Raptor Talons on. The Nefeli Lu story arc? There's a few fights to run through there. First is the Omen Killer that slaughtered the Albinoric town. Kind of a dick move, but what do we really expect from a guy who hunts down people whose appearance are physically different from the majority representation of the lands between, and kills them with a giant cleaver with their own horns grafted to it? So yeah. He's kind of a racist dick, and so is Gideon by proxy. Anyway, next up for Nefeli is to go get her bird's ashes, which means fighting the grafted scion again. Only this time we come out victorious, rather than rolling off the edge and avoiding the fight entirely. Give that to Nefeli, and yeah, that's kinda it. Honestly, the Raptor Talons aren't really anything special compared to the Hook Claws anyway. In fact, all three metal claws might as well be completely interchangeable. Only the Venomous Fangs managed to stand out in any significant way because of the poison status. Although any of the other three can still be given poison, so it's really a dealer's choice between the set. Well, since the Hook Claws technically have the best reach, I'll take them for the rest of the game. And the rest of the game is coming quickly. In fact, what's that? We're already at Fire Giants? Yeah, Fire Giant goes about as expected. He's big, he's strong, he has a lot of health, oh yeah, and he can apparently one-shot me at almost full health with over 60 vigor. I don't know, guys, like, I'm in armor and everything this time. It looks like I got hit with counter damage, or instability damage, or whatever it's called, because it seems to have happened at the end of my roll's iframes. But still, fuck Fire Giant. Fuck him in particular. My next attempt goes much better. He barely even hits me. Also, thank goodness for these Frost and Bleed procs. Probably shaved a few minutes off the total fight for me. Can we get to an easier fight, please? Apparently not, no. Ugh. Actually, they weren't too difficult. Took only 2 or 3 attempts. Definitely feels like I got lucky once or twice, but we're through nonetheless. And now that means we're on to the boss rush. That starts, of course, with Malekith, who... I don't know. I don't know how to describe this fight. He's fast, he's powerful, he's actually kind of squishy, but either way, I get through it. Eventually, he kills me a couple times. It's Malekith. I fucking hate him. I don't want to talk about him anymore. Moving on. Moving on to Gideon. Fuck. Okay. Spell spamming asshole. But he shouldn't be too much of a problem as long as we kill him quickly, especially getting a nice chunk of damage in while he monologues at the start of the fight. All I gotta do is keep focused and don't suddenly reapply Cragblade while in the middle of Gideon's light rings. Fuck. This fight is a nightmare on a second attempt without that monologue to capitalize on. However, eventually, we get through and Gideon falls to my feet and my testicles descend like a bag of tea leaves on the cup of hot water that is this son of a bitch's face. Alright, Godfrey and Horaloo time. Wait, didn't we fight you already? Wait, did I forget to show us fighting you already? Here's Goldfrey. Okay, now we're back to the real guy. Ready to die, old man?
Tarnished. Thy strength befits same crown.
That's what I thought. Time to end this. Well, I wish it was that impressive. Here, I'll go ahead and let this play out from my first attempt against the Elden Beast. In case you want something as heartbreaking as that Gideon loss, I'll be back once the fighting is done. Huh? Wait, what? I won? No kidding? Guess it's final thoughts time. Okay, wasn't ready for that. For one, I'd go ahead and recommend trying these weapons out. The claws have evolved considerably over the course of these games, and goodness, has From Software really kicked these up from a throwaway waste of souls to a legit weapon. Well worth taking into even the toughest fights. Honestly, this was hardly even a real challenge this time around. Granted, for those of you who've seen my Final Fantasy Rebirth video, it might be obvious why I went for this now. I kinda needed a refresher playthrough, especially before I start preparing for the DLC coming out soon. But hey, that's a story for another time. See you soon.